Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a story that, well, it almost seems impossible. Reviving something massive after it was basically declared dead.
Yeah, it's like bringing infrastructure back from the grave. We're talking about a nuclear power plant, no less. Declared decommissioned. Done.
But the story didn't end there. This is about America's first ever nuclear plant restart after decommissioning had officially started.
That's right. We're diving into the Palisades Nuclear Plant. It's an 800-megawatt facility, a pressurized water reactor, PWR, pretty standard tech right there on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan.
And it had a long history. It shut down originally in May 2022 after, over 50 years. Holtec bought it. And the explicit plan, was full demolition, tear it down.
And this is where it gets fascinating. Instead of demolition, Holtec managed to secure huge funding, got customers lined up, and made this frankly unprecedented call to go for a full restart.
It's a massive pivot, a real game changer.
It really is. So our mission for you today is to unpack this. The regulatory maze, the money, the sheer technical work involved in taking this shutdown asset and turning it back into an operating power plant. It's setting a national precedent.
And the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, they had to be convinced. They only formally okayed putting new fuel back in around August 2025.
Think about that timeline, from demolition site to ready for fuel in just over 3 years. That's incredibly fast in the nuclear world.
Okay, let's get into it. How do you go from decommissioning plans back to operations? You called it a regulatory marathon.
It absolutely was. Our sources really paint that picture. I mean, think about it. You have a license that's basically been terminated for operations. How do you arrive that?
Yeah, the NRC couldn't just dust off an old form, right? They were kind of inventing the process as they went along.
Exactly, uncharted territory. The big moment came in July 2025. The NRC formally reinstated the operational programs, the emergency plans, all those super detailed technical specs you need.
It wasn't just paperwork, though. It meant legally undoing the decommissioning status that was already in place.
Precisely. And given how sensitive anything nuclear is, especially with older plants, you can bet the NRC wasn't just giving it a quick glance.
No kidding. So what specific steps did they take? I mean, to reassure everyone this wasn't cutting corners.
Good question. They set up something called the Palisades Restart Panel, a dedicated group within the NRC just for this project.
Okay.
Their job was constant, intensive oversight, safety, security, environmental checks, everything.
Right.
Throughout the entire revival. The existence of that panel alone tells you how seriously they took it. This wasn't routine.
Right. It signals this is a big deal, high stakes. So looking beyond Palisades itself, why is this regulatory hurdle being cleared so significant? Does it mean we can just flip the switch back on for other old plants?
It's definitely a pivotal shift. For a long time, the default was nuclear plant gets old, you shut it down, you tear it down. End of story. Palisades proves there's another path, under very strict conditions, obviously, but revitalization is possible. It sets a template, a potential roadmap, for other aging plants across the U.S. that might still have useful life left.
Okay, so the regulatory path is cleared. Now the nuts and bolts. How do you physically bring a mothballed plant, maybe even one partly dismantled, back online?
Yeah.
This sounds like a massive engineering challenge.
Oh, it is. And it's more than just maintenance. When you prep for decommissioning, you start taking things apart, right?
Yeah.
So they had to reverse some of that. The sources list specifics, things like steam generator tube repairs, putting in new chemical cleaning systems, essential stuff.
What was the single biggest physical task they highlighted?
Probably the reassembly of the turbine rotor. It's huge, 183 tons.
Whoa.
And you have to remember, this plant was shutting down. That rotor might have already been partially disassembled, tagged for removal, maybe even heading towards a scrap dealer.
Wait, hang on. So they didn't just have to maintain it. They had to physically put it back together after starting to take it apart for demolition?
That seems to be the implication. It's not just fixing wear and tear. It's ensuring the whole thing is structurally sound and perfectly aligned after that kind of interruption. That's a different level of engineering.
Wow. Okay. What else?
They also completely refurbished the main coolant pump motors, absolutely critical for safety. Getting those huge pieces back together and proving they work correctly, that's the physical proof of readiness.
And then the final piece, the fuel itself. Getting that on site must have been a huge step.
A massive logistical and symbolic step, yes. The sources say 68 new nuclear fuel assemblies arrived in October 2025. That involves intense security, special transport, the works. And now they're there, stored securely, just waiting to be loaded into the reactor. It's like the final piece clicking into place.
But it's not just about the hardware, is it? You need the people. What did this restart mean for the workforce in that part of Michigan?
It's a huge boost. The numbers are pretty striking. Over 600 dedicated nuclear professionals, plus another 1,000 skilled contractors.
So 1,800 jobs total.
Roughly, yeah. Working on this restart, that's a major economic injection for Southwest Michigan.
What about the expertise? When a plant like Palisades shuts down, all that specific knowledge walks out the door.
Yeah.
Right? Did they manage to get any of that back?
That's actually a really key part of the story. They made a specific effort to rehire former Palisades staff.
Ah, smart.
Very smart. So you're not just getting new engineers, you're bringing back people who know this specific plant, its history, its quirks, its personality, if you like.
That institutional memory must be invaluable.
Absolutely. And they're blending that legacy knowledge with modern tech. There's a partnership with Siemens Energy and Holtec involved, making sure everything's updated to the latest safety and efficiency standards. It's like combining the original architect's notes with modern engineering software.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But a project like this, reversing decommissioning, rebuilding massive equipment, it can't run on technical skill alone. It needs serious backing, political and especially financial.
Couldn't agree more. Without the money, Palisades would definitely be scrap metal right now. The foundation was secured by some major investments starting at the federal level.
Okay, how much are we talking?
A $1.5 billion federal loan guarantee from the Department of Energy.
$1.5 billion. That's serious federal backing. What does a loan guarantee like that really mean? Is it just the government cutting a check?
It's more than just the cash. That guarantee is a powerful signal. It says the federal government sees existing nuclear plants not just as old liabilities, but as strategic assets worth saving.
Yeah.
Getting that kind of backing, especially for a plant that was officially closed, that sets a huge precedent for other nuclear facilities looking for similar support. It's a policy statement with a lot of zeros attached.
And it wasn't only federal money, right? Michigan stepped up too.
That's right. The state put in hundreds of millions. This kind of alignment, federal, state, and even local is critical. You mentioned local. Covert Township, South Haven, they passed resolutions backing the restart. That community support is vital long term.
And the payoff for all this effort and investment, a lot of clean power.
A lot. That 800 plus megawatts is baseload power, meaning it's on 2047, reliable, not dependent on weather, enough for around 800,000 homes and businesses.
And they're planning for the long haul.
Definitely. They're aiming for a license renewal to operate until 2051.
Wow, 2051.
Yeah. So decades more of carbon-free electricity, making Michigan's grid stronger and more independent for another whole generation.
It sounds like a win-win, especially for clean energy goals. But restarting an old nuclear plant, particularly one that was already retired, that's bound to stir up debate, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's important we look at both sides neutrally here. Supporters, naturally, they see Palisades as a fantastic model. Reliable, carbon-free power fighting climate change, plus all those jobs, a huge economic boost.
Okay, that's the promise side. What about the peril? What are the specific worries from critics? It's not just general anti-nuclear sentiment, is it?
No, it's more specific. Critics, including some retired nuclear engineers and watchdog groups, they're pushing for much stricter oversight than usual.
No.
They point to the plant's age. 50 years is a long time for a reactor vessel. Concerns about potential embrittlement, for example. They wanted extra steps taken beyond just meeting standard relicensing rules.
So their argument is meeting today's standards isn't enough for a plant this old that's been stopped and started.
Essentially, yes. Address the specific wear and tear of this plant's history. Other concerns flagged were things like past operational issues, questions about Holtec's transparency, the overall cost, and, of course, the environmental impact on Lake Michigan water temperature, intake systems, that sort of thing. It really captures that national tension. We desperately need carbon-free power, but how much risk are we willing to accept from aging infrastructure to get it?
It's a tough balance. Now, the sources also mentioned Palisades isn't just about the past, but it's a stepping stone to the future. How does restarting this old plant connect to next-gen nuclear?
Right. This is where small modular reactors, SMRs, come into the picture. All the experience gained here, navigating the regulations, building the specialized workforce, having the site infrastructure already approved and operational.
They're leveraging that.
Immediately, they're already doing groundwork for potentially putting new next-generation SMR 300 units right there at the Palisades site.
Interesting. So same location, new technology side by side with the old.
Exactly. These SMRs are smaller, around 300 megawatts, advanced designs. The plan is to have them potentially online by the early 2030s. Palisades could become this hub for both existing and future nuclear tech.
And is this just a U.S. effort, or is there international collaboration?
There's significant international input. Hyundai Engineering is involved,
Ah,
and they plan to use lessons learned from other big projects, like the Baraka plant in the UAE.
okay.
So restarting Palisades isn't just about saving one plant. It's building the foundation regulatory, workforce, operational for potentially deploying advanced reactors more broadly.
So let's pull this together. The core achievement here seems to be this unprecedented blend. Taking legacy nuclear infrastructure, updating it with modern tech, and doing it all under intense, rigorous regulatory scrutiny.
Yeah.
Palisades feels like a very real physical symbol of a renewed focus on nuclear power's role, a role maybe we overlooked for a while in getting to a clean and reliable energy future. The big takeaway is just how hard and how expensive this was.
And that leaves us with a crucial question, really, for you, the listener, to think about. Palisades is, no doubt, a landmark achievement for energy security for jobs. It shows reviving a nuclear plant is possible. But it took $1.5 billion in federal loan guarantees. It took this monumental effort, technical, political, regulatory, just for this one 800-megawatt plant to reopen after only being shut down for a few years.
Right.
So the question is, how scalable is this model? If this is what it takes for one plant, what does that mean for the dozens of other aging nuclear plants across the country? Can we realistically repeat this effort multiple times? That's the huge strategic challenge that Palisades brings into sharp focus.